look at this lovely big bunch of grapes that I've just harvested from my greenhouse roof. My greenhouse has had a bit of a hole in the roof for quite a while now that I've been meaning to get fixed, but I have been loving how the grapevine has slowly started to creep its way out. It's looking quite Mediterranean up there now. So as lovely as it looks, I do plan on completely rehauling this greenhouse over winter, because not only is the grapevine kind of destroying the structure of the greenhouse a little bit, but it's also not letting in very much light because the moss has started growing in between the corrugated sheeting. I'm going to switch the camera angle because I can't see anything and my eyes are watering. Oh, I can see a little bit better now. But as I was saying, the light is getting blocked out because all of the moss is growing in between the corrugated sheeting on the plastic roof. So I'm going to get completely new panels and have a proper refresh over winter time once all the crops have come out. Since the sun's getting quite low now, let's have a little walk around the garden before it does start to set. I can show you what's changed since last month, what's growing, what's not growing, what's been eaten. Quite a lot of stuff's been eaten. And also what I've sown as well this month. And I've got quite a few things to harvest, some more grapes, some herbs and some little bits. So let's go see what we can find. We're going to be starting from a new spot today. This is actually the entrance to my first plot before I got my second plot next door. I use that door over there now. But the door behind me here is the door that I used to use. And let me spin you around and I can show you. So I can't actually get through here anymore because I've got this big old raspberry patch in between. But that door over there is the door I used to use. So this is actually a shed door, or it used to be a shed door for the two plots, and Fred next door uses this one. So I've just created my own in the plot next door. But over here is my little compost bin and just a big old raspberry patch as well. So it's kind of blocked me in a little bit. But as we come down, look how beautiful all these rudbeckia are. I absolutely love these plants. They come back bigger and better every year. They're so cheerful, look at them. Absolutely beautiful. So if I just put you on the wide angle lens, you can see a little bit better. And these rudbeckia kind of make up this little corner to my shed and my greenhouse there. And you can see all of my beautiful grapes on top of this greenhouse roof. There's loads of them, look. They're all just starting to ripen. And there's more at the back there as well. I can't reach some of them. I need to figure out a better way. I'm a bit worried to get on top of this greenhouse roof because I think it might collapse. But yeah. And I've just got my potting table outside still in the sun. I'm probably going to be moving this indoors again soon as the weather starts to drop. But for now, it's still quite nice to be potting up some seeds outside. Some things that I've been sowing this month include beetroot, lettuce, coriander, chard, and I've also direct sown some seeds as well that I'll show you in a little bit. There's still a little bit of time to sow these, so if you would like some winter crops, then get cracking. So as we zoom back out and spin around, this is my mum's beautiful border. It's looking very lush and very green, and it's had a bit of a chop. And some new little flowers are starting to pop up. So we've got these asters just about to burst open. I absolutely love asters, they're such pretty little plants. And then I've got some zinnias as well. And look at the colours on that zinnia. So pretty. I love the way they open up with their little curled fluted petals. But yeah, they're really, really stunning flowers. The oxeye daisy is all starting to come back after it's had a chop, and so is my salvia hot lips as well. And the echinops, look at these. The bees absolutely love these echinops. I love watching them. There's quite a few on this one over here. Can you see them all fluttering around? They're so beautiful. And as I say, the bees absolutely love them. See them all over it. And I've also gave the St John's wort a big old chop, and it's all started to reflower, so that's really lovely. I can get a second harvest of that this season as well. I'm going to take you back around this area. So the strawberry bed is, well, it is what it is. So seeing as there was nothing really going on in the strawberry bed anymore, I popped a couple of really late courgette plants in. They're just starting to fruit up, some yellow courgettes, a couple of them. And yeah, really late putting in quite a lot of these squash, but they seem to be just starting to get going. In the strawberry bed as well, I've got a big old comfrey plant, and I grow this just as much for the pollinators as I do for my fertiliser. They absolutely love it, the bees and the wasps. One of their favourites, comfrey. So we'll come back around to this little patch here. I've recently just done these beds, so I have gotten rid of all of the lettuce that was inside, collected quite a few seeds, and now I've replanted it with some Brussels sprouts and some parsley as well. I made the mistake the other day of leaving the netting off of these plants, and look what the pigeons did, absolutely decimated the one at the back over there, look. The pigeons here are absolutely relentless. I hate using netting, but I have to with my brassicas because when they're young like this, it's just a little buffet for them. This is the bed that I've cleared, and I've popped some parsley in here. A couple more sprouts at the back that, again, look, they've been totally munched, but brassicas are pretty good for coming back after they've been eaten, so I do have high hopes that they'll still grow. And just next to that, I've got my big old brassica bed, loads and loads of cabbages and kale and cauliflower and things like that. Brassicas do really well for me on this ground here in Chef because the soil is quite heavy, it's clay soil, and brassicas like to have their feet pretty sturdy in the ground, so they don't mind a bit of clay soil. So I do grow quite a lot of different types of brassicas. Some of them are starting to get a nice firm head on them now. In this bed along here, I've got another couple of really late squash plants that I just chucked in, and I can see them starting to fruit up now, which is lovely. And then also in here, I've got some celeriac and some kohlrabi that, again, I've popped over this little netted box because the pigeons hate all my kohlrabi. And then in this bed along here, this is where I've direct sown quite a lot of seeds. So down here I've got some winter radish, some Spanish black ground, some spring onion, some white Lisbon, and I've also got some different salad leaves and some beetroot. So I'm hoping these will all pop up quite soon. And also, this is actually, hang on, let me go back. Yes, I don't know if you remember, but this was the huge parsnip bed, and the parsnips were absolutely bellowing over the sides of the bed. But I've got rid of all those now, and I've collected all of the seeds from it. I'll be sowing some fresh parsnip in the new year. But I did find a couple of little ones down here that hadn't gone to seed, so I think these parsnips are still alright, and I'll be harvesting these, I think, at Christmas time. So just on the right of that bed is my big old wild pond area. Look at those teasels. I absolutely love teasels. Not only are the flowers gorgeous, the pollinators absolutely love them, the birds love the seeds that come out of them, but these seed heads that are left over, look how stunning they are. They're absolutely beautiful. Such big structural architectural pieces in the garden. They're really, really cool, and they make great arrangements, plant arrangements, flower arrangements in your house as well. They're pretty striking. But yeah, this is my big old wild pond area, and you can't even see that there's a pond in it. My friend came over for bank holiday Monday. We had a little skate and a barbecue, and he didn't even realise that I had any ponds because they are actually all super hidden amongst all of the foliage. But there is a pond in here, and it's inhabited by a few frogs. They really enjoy it. But yeah, next to this as well, I've got all of my hogweed seeds, and I'm just leaving these to dry up. These are probably actually ready to harvest now, to be honest. Yeah, perfectly ready. These are gorgeous, got a lovely kind of citrusy, cardamom-y, coriander type flavour to them. They can kind of be used as a sort of allspice. They're really, really nice in baking anyway. But yeah, I've got loads of these. These are all ready to harvest. And then in the bed just next to that, I've got more courgette plants, more parsley, some calendula, and also some little brassicas that I just planted out quite recently as well. Fair few of these, and I've just planted up as well a few little modules of multi-sown beetroot.
so these should get going quite soon. But look, can you see that? That is blight. I've got blight, and I've had blight for quite a while. I've been trying to keep on top of it. These tomatoes are just starting to ripen. I've got quite a few on here that I'm seeing if I can get a little bit more colour on them before I have to pull up these plants. But like I said, I've had it for quite a while now, and I've been able to control it a little bit because I've just been pulling off all of the leaves as and when I've seen any kind of little blemishes on them. You can see that one there. Take him off. But yeah, I don't hold out too much hope for these because as you can see, all of the stems have started to go dark as well. So it won't be too long before they're all gone. But that's been one of the reasons that I haven't been inside my sheds or my greenhouses very much, because I haven't wanted to transfer the spores from these, from this blight from these plants up into my indoor tomatoes. But yeah, I'll show you in a bit that they have succumbed as well. But yeah, there's quite a few tomatoes on here that I'd really love to ripen, but yeah, we'll see. So as we continue up this little lane, I never really walk up because it's usually really overgrown. This is the side of my herb spiral, my medicinal garden. Can you see all of this wormwood? It's completely collapsed now. This needs harvesting. It's all starting to go into flower now. It's absolutely beautiful wormwood. But yeah, I'm going to be harvesting some of this quite soon, along with my mugwort as well. Yeah, but my herb spiral is looking pretty good. All of my fennel has just started to go to flower now, and I'm going to wait for this to go to seed before I start to harvest this and cut it back. I've got so many different types of thyme, mints and oregano down here, and all of the ground ivy has just finished flowering. And I've also got this massive patch of silver sorrel that I got given as a cut-in when I first moved into the allotment site. And it's absolutely taken over this little pond area. It's lovely. All of the chives are starting to flower again after a good cut, and the mint is all in flower as well. There's another little pond down here. There are a couple of newts hanging about, which is really lovely to see. But yeah, I really love my herb spiral. You can just about make out the bricks that are down there, but other than that, it is very, very full. Then as we pan around, this is my big squash bed with some little baby sunflowers just bordering it, and lots of calendula that's just started to close up for the night. I've had loads of harvest from this, and I've been making sure that I've been keeping on top of the deadheading as well, just to ensure loads more blooms throughout the rest of the season. Yeah, there are loads and loads of little baby squash lurking down here. Got some Turk's turban, which is an absolutely awful name, but they are beautiful. I've got some patty pans down here, quite a few patty pans. And then this is also where my rhubarb patch is as well. And again, I've had loads of harvest from this, and all of the rest of these stems I'm just letting die back naturally now. And I've just seen a little baby squash scrambling up there. I don't know where he's going, to the pond somewhere. Look at that sun peeking through. I love this little walkway into my garden. And this clematis up my archway has really taken off this year. It's climbed all the way up and over and scrambling down the other side. There has been a lot of fungal activity going on in this little orchard spot. And the reason being is that I use probably around 3 tons of wood chip a year in my allotment. And I lay it down all as mulch along the pathway and in my orchard, on the floor everywhere. And over the years it's built up a really, really good thick layer. And every year since 2018 I've had some Romaria stricta pop up in my allotment site. This kind of really lovely coral looking fungus. It's all starting to die back now. So you can still see it here, but the floor was absolutely covered with it, and I mean covered with it. It looked incredible. And not only that, but I've also had a load of fluted bird's nest fungi,
and this stuff's absolutely beautiful. All of the tops have exploded off now, and you can see the little tiny spore-filled eggs inside the nests, and when rain droplets fall on them they kind of pop out and it disperses the spores that way, and it's really, really beautiful. But again, this was absolutely covered. The entire floor was just bird's nest fungi, and it looked absolutely insane. It was really cool. But the great thing about having all of this mycelium is not only does it break down lots of the organic matter and turn it back into the soil, but look at that soil structure. And not only is it great because it's a saprobic mushroom, which means it helps to break down all of the organic matter and transfer the nutrients back into the soil, so it's really great for your soil health, but it's also amazing for soil structure as well. Now look how all of this mycelium is just holding together all of these pieces of wood chip, and usually it would just kind of crumble, but where the mycelium has held it all together, you can see that it's a really sturdy piece. And it's just really, really great to encourage mycelium into your allotment, to encourage lots of different fungi, because it really does help with the soil health and the structure of the soil as well. So back up to the canopy, all of my fruit trees. Now this is the year in between my fruit, so my fruit trees tend to have really, really big harvests every other year, because I don't tend to do too much pruning and just kind of let them do their thing. So this is one of their quieter years, but every single fruit that was on here has been pinched by squirrels. And I mean every single one. I had probably about 20-30 plums on this tree, I reckon. And yeah, there are 0 now. I think I can actually see a couple of green ones up there. As soon as they get a little bit of colour on them, the squirrels will have those. So it's been a bit of a shame to not have any fruit on here this year. But I mean, there's always next year. I can see the squirrels just running over across the trees, back and forth, and they keep just pinching them. They'll have a little bite and then they'll throw it on the floor. Then they'll pick another one, have a bite, throw it on the floor, and it's just a bit irritating to watch them. But I mean, that is one of the things that you have to put up with when you share your space with wildlife, and it's much better to let them in than to keep them out. So it's just one of the things we have to deal with. So as we come through, this is my skate ramp. Nothing has changed here. I've been skating a little bit. I've had quite a few friends over the bank holiday weekend, and we've had a little skate and a barbecue, and it's been really lovely. But these flower beds just in front, they haven't really been going off this year. I mean, I have got lots of dahlia plants, a couple of straw flowers in there, some yarrow, but they've been very slow to flower. I can see loads of buds on there, so I'm hoping that over the next week or so I might have a bit of colour in this corner, because it has been a little bit bare. And this bed here is the worst it's ever looked in August. I've cut back all of my summer flowering plants now, all of the lupins. I've cut back the hollyhock. They've been and gone this month, and the Melton Mowbrays as well. They've been and gone. Just the weather hasn't been too great this year, and the plants were just looking a little bit worse for wear with the cold and the winds that we've been having. So I've chopped them all back, and I'm hoping for a re-sprout in September, fingers crossed. But otherwise I'll just get this bed cleared and ready for spring. The bed behind my skate ramp has all been cleared of the thistles. The birds had a field day with all of the seed heads, which was really lovely to watch them. I saw lots of goldfinch, and I absolutely love goldfinch. But I've got all of my climbers that are making their way up the fence now, which is lovely. A few different types of jasmine, and over at this end I've got some honeysuckle and a rose as well. There's quite a few new little flowers in here, some snapdragons and some dahlias. But again, look, they're not even nearly flowering yet, some of them. But this spot doesn't get too much sunlight. It gets a lot of morning sun, but no evening sun because it sets over there. This rose I put down here is called Maid of Kent, and I bought it in honour of my mum because we're from Kent, and it's making its way merrily up here along with the honeysuckle and the nasturtium. And the honeysuckle is starting to come up. Oh shit, oh no. I just spilt water, dirty water, all down me. so costume change. The sun is really starting to go down now, so let's crack on. Just need to show you one more little thing in this plot before we go over to the next one. My little kitchen area, and this has been in action today. I've been doing a little bit cooking. Made a foraged blackberry and meadow sweet clafouté for my dessert. So this honeysuckle has gone nuts. I'm really hoping that it just carries on stretching all the way across this fence and makes a really lovely wall of honeysuckle in between these two plots. But down here, underneath this little bit of netting, is some newly planted kale that I got in this little bathtub area just to make use of the space. And it's doing alright underneath this netting here, away from the pigeons. This is all going to be grown for my October retreats, which is in 5 weeks' time. Yeah, need to crack on with organising that, but it's nice to see some of the autumn crops all coming into their own now. Getting excited. Right, let's go into the second plot now, and it is just, well, there's a few little entrances into it, but we'll go just behind my skate ramp here. This is the little bird box that the great tits were in this spring. I haven't seen them come back, but that was so lovely to watch them. I'm gutted I missed all the little babies flying out. I think I can hear my robin around somewhere. I've not seen him in a week or so. I think I can hear him. Yeah, so down here, let me just show you on wide angle. It might be a bit dark to wide angle now, but I'll try. Yeah, the quality is not great, so I'll put you back in a second, but you can get a bit of an idea of the space. And there is a pond down there and all of these pile of logs. I actually need to ask my mate Wenners to come down and help me cut up these logs with his chainsaw, because I thought that I could use them for something, but they're just massively in the way and they're blocking out this little pathway that I usually use to get to the back of my skate ramp. So just seen a lovely little gladiola that's fallen down under its own weight. I'll be taking you home with me. How pretty is that? So this pond behind me here, it's got a hole in the lining, and it's meant obviously that the water's sunk, and lots of cool plants have started to pop up. And I'm just wondering whether I should make it into like a swamp area, a marshy kind of swamp area, rather than a pond. Maybe kind of make like a little boggy marsh bit and plant up lots of kind of water-loving marginal plants, and it might attract different kind of wildlife in. And I have got 4 ponds on this plot, so I've got plenty. And I'm just wondering whether I should play around with this one. I was thinking about relining it and getting it back to its former glory, but after seeing how the wildlife has kind of taken over, it's quite interesting watching it. So yeah, I'm gonna have a little think about that and just see what kind of cool plants I can grow. I often forage around marshy kind of estuaries and stuff like that, so I'm gonna keep my eye out, see what's growing and see what I can maybe incorporate into here. It might be a cool little project to work on. See this beautiful volunteer purple loosestrife, and I just see the bees humming around this all of the time. So pretty. Lots of hogweed. This is just common hogweed, not giant hogweed, even though it does look a little bit giant. And yeah, all of my currants have just kind of got lost in this stinging nettle kind of patch. But I don't mind really. See lots of cool moths hanging around here at night time, so I think they quite enjoy it. And yeah, it's looking pretty wild. I do love it. And again, this plum tree was, this plum tree did have quite a few plums on it, to be fair, like more than the other one. But they are completely gone, 0. Can't believe it really. I've never had the squirrels take everything before, but I've just been seeing them run back and forth.
I don't know whether they're anticipating a really bad winter, but it's a bit concerning actually. So as we come down here, all of the honesty, I still need to harvest this. I think I've said this in the last 2 videos. But these seed heads make, well, one, they make lovely decorations, and 2, the seeds inside make a really awesome mustard, and you can also grind them up to make a mustard kind of powder as well. So I do need to harvest these before they start to rot or sprout inside. And this bay tree, I think I mentioned this in the last video, but I am going to be reducing this quite a lot because it's massive and it does block out quite a lot of light. And I've got 3 bay trees in there, so it wouldn't be too bad to reduce one of them, and it'll also bring a lot more light up to this apple tree, which kind of gets a little bit lost. Again, I'll just put you on wide angle, but not for long because I know the quality's not great, but you can kind of see where I've just come from, that little pathway and all those logs at the back there. And these are my autumn fruiting raspberries. Got quite a lot here, and they are all coming into flower quite nicely now. And this little area is just underplanted with loads of calendula and yarrow. And this was where my gooseberry patch was. There's nothing left on that now. And this fireweed, I actually need to harvest a lot of this seed heads up here because they are blowing around now, and I can use it for tinder, so it's actually quite useful stuff. There's actually a couple of little flowers left on here, probably enough to make a little syrup or jam with, so I might harvest some of these as well. Next to my fireweed here is my bathtub, and this is all covered up at the minute. It's got its little lid on, but I did get in this last week. It's absolutely beautiful. The tea's always gone over. I had to stake this up because I was scared of getting attacked by the teasel in my bath. But all of the evening primrose is all starting to open up now that it's about 7:30. So it's looking really lovely, and all of the elderberries on this big elder tree are all starting to fruit up. Oh, there's loads over there by my compost bin. Hang on, let me come through. I haven't been through here in a bit because I've just been making compost piles everywhere. I'm being attacked. Look at all this elderberry. There's loads of it. I'm going to harvest some of this. This is where I fall over and drop everything. Right, I'll show you my little cosmos bed. It's quite pretty. So this little bed that I made up fairly recently, all of the cosmos has all come into flower now. It looks quite pretty, so it started to bulk out. It took longer than expected, to be honest. It's only really just started to bulk out in the past few weeks, but it's getting going now. And I should have these cosmos flowering all the way up until the first frosts. The solar mushroom lights have just come on behind me. Don't know if you can see, but it's crazy how quickly we lose light as soon as that sun goes down. There's not too much left to see in this plot, but let me put this basket down and show you. Nice little sunset over there. But as we come down, this is a little area that I've been working on. Well, say working on, I just planted up some new plants and I've just been watching them grow. Not really working much at all, but there's some celery in here, and also a few curly kale plants, a few cauliflowers, some turnips, and yeah, some more turnips. But it's all growing quite nicely, and I've just put these little hoops with some bird netting over it again because of the pigeons.
but that's growing quite nicely. In the polytunnel, I'm not actually going to go in here because it's full of blight. Have a little peek. But yeah, full of blight. I need to get all these plants out. My potatoes are just next to it and they need to come up because they too have succumbed to blight. Usually beans are a fail-safe crop for me and I've usually got loads, but I don't know what's gone on this year. They're very, very spindly and small. My Belotti beans though, they're doing much better. There's loads and loads of beans and I absolutely love Belotti beans. I just saw a little fox sneak in just through the fireweed behind me and it got right in front of me before it saw me and then it stopped and ran back. But it's the first fox that I've seen in probably a couple of months. So it's really, really nice. And I couldn't see whether it was the same fox as before because there's one around our plot that's got one white back leg and I've not seen him in a while. But yeah, that was really, really lovely. But we're almost at the end now. That big space behind me, that's just where I camp. So that's kind of like a bit of a dead space that I just keep quite clear. But other than that, that's pretty much all that's changed this month. Yeah, I think I might go into the first greenhouse and harvest some more grapes before I go home. But other than that, that is this month's plot tour.